whisker. I like to almost not know that I'm planing. To me, that's the most satisfying. The way that I can see I'm planing is with every pass, there's a little bit of sawdust coming out. Not because I'm forcing and the blade is catching it so well. I'd always rather be a little bit patient and take out the small one. Too much What's that?
His hand's right in the way.
I was expecting.
Oh, hey, we're trying to videotape this.
I will show up my beautiful hand.
So I noticed you're going right off the edge there. You're not green, but a carrot.
On this piece of wood, I'm not. Yeah, it does do that.
So, do you be careful not to go over the edge, or?
Yeah, generally, you know, if I'm working on a piece of timber like this, for instance, and the end is going to be exposed, so I want a nice, clean-looking edge, I'll work this side down, you know, two-thirds of the way down, and then roll it and do the same thing, and keep rolling it all the way around. So I'm always working in toward the middle. And in that case, you know, I'm not. If it's just the end of a timber that's coming out into space, I probably don't care how perfectly flat it is. I'm more concerned about the way it looks.
Could you talk a little about this adjustment here? There's more to this than meets the eye, and I don't know what is implied by that little lever right there.
So this knob is the front handle, but it also locks into place this adjustable throat, which had a little bit of pitch in it, so it was stuck. So anyway, you can loosen the knob, and this is, there is a cut in the piece of steel, piece of bronze over here that's on an angle like this. And so as you slide this to the left or to the right, it is sliding this plate in and out. It's usually much smoother than this, but there's a lot of high pitch in there right now. So as you move to the left or to the right, it's moving that adjustable throat up and down while holding the plane in this orientation, which is closing or opening the throat. And again, you want the throat to be as small as the planing conditions tolerate. So if you're taking very thin shavings, you want that throat to be very tight. As the shaving gets thicker, you want it to be able to pass through the throat without getting pinched in between the plate iron and the throat.
So that lever acts as a cam to drive that plate just forward.
Yep, exactly. You can see. So this just locks it into place.
So this is a rather large.
It's a big throat. Yep. And there are, you know, you generally find that wrong way, but the less expensive planes tend to be machined like that to be more general purpose. You know, so they do have that will tolerate very thick shavings. A more expensive tool has the ability to adjust the throat, or would tend to have a slightly thinner, slightly smaller throat. So generally, when you're plane this size, you would probably never be taking a shaving as big as this throat would allow.
I'm not familiar with that particular plane. Does the, do you effectively close the throat by sliding the iron color?
You can, but then the shaving becomes thicker without really taking it out. So it's a trade-off. Okay. But to answer your question, yes, it does. It does to close the throat. That's why the adjustable throat is nice. So as you're taking a thicker shaving, you have the ability to make the throat a little bigger.
Can you talk a little about sharpening stones, starting with, are the old natural-based stones now obsolete? And what's the state of the art for stones? I see so many in the market. It's hard to discern what's a good all-around stone.
All right, so the first part of the question, are the natural stones obsolete? No, in that you can still buy them. You can still find them, and depending on who you're getting them from, what the brand is or who is mining you out. But the big problem with that type of stone, like with all oil stones, is that they tend to get clogged. The steel sits in them because the lubricant is oil. The steel doesn't rust ever. It just sits in the stone and is nicely protected from air and water and so on. So after a while, you're just riding the steel of your plane iron back and forth on the steel of your plane iron.
Oil slick.
Yeah. So for that reason, I don't like the oil stones. They're hard. It's a very hard stone. So in order to remove that abrasive, you need to work at it. The water stones are manufactured from a predictable grit, so they tend to have a much more consistent grit. They're glued back. It's a man-made thing, glued back together. And they wear very quickly on purpose, so that you always have fresh abrasive. You never have the stone getting totally charged with steel filings, because everything is just sort of coming off the stone. You get a noticeable slurry on the surface of the stone. And the Shapton, what I like about the Shapton stones is that they have a ceramic body, so that they walk that perfect line between wearing away just quickly enough to have fresh abrasive always, but slow enough that they don't become immediately dished. Whereas a lot of the water stones are very soft, and so literally the first tool you're sharpening on them can create a dish, and then if you're not being very particular in the way you move the tool back and forth on the stone.
What about the diamonds?
Thank you. That's a whole other category of stone, the diamond stones, and there are a couple of different manufacturers of those. They're expensive because they are a diamond, but it's an industrial grade diamond. It's not 50 wedding bands on the stone. The diamond stones are nice because they are flat. They're put onto a surface that is milled very flat. And that doesn't change. It's always flat. You always have a flat surface. But the diamond doesn't really wear. What happens there is that again, steel comes off, and lubricant with the diamond stone, like with the water stones I've been talking about, is water. And so the steel rusts and it expands 22% or 22 times as it turns from steel to iron oxide. And so with those, if you don't keep them impeccably clean, again, you're just rubbing steel on rust.
What's the cleaning method?
You can use, there are some mild acids. There's an acid in Coke that will eat that away slowly. You can get some like CLRs, a commercially available product that eats away rust.
Silver acid?
Trying to think of what it is. That does not ring a bell to me. It'll come to me. And then with the Duo Sharp is one brand that we saw. They recommend using an abrasive cleaner like Comet after every sharpening.
And a soft bristle brush.
What's that?
And a soft bristle brush.
Soft bristle brush.